Addie is a girl who's recently come out of a broken relationship but is moving forward in life with optimism. She shows up at work and, as usual, gives her friend Tracy her coffee. It's Christmas time and the city's full of joy. Tracy asks why Addie hasn't talked to anyone since breaking up with Mark. Addie, a little sad, says she doesn't want anything that reminds her of Mark and is actually happy to have broken up with him. Just then, Addie gets a message from an unknown number saying, "I'm waiting for you to spend Christmas together." Tracy wonders if it's Mark reaching out again, but Addie firmly says that even if it is, she's not going back. She then tells Tracy she has to finish some work because she's meeting her dad later. That night, Addie has dinner with her dad at a restaurant. They both enjoy the Christmas atmosphere. Her dad tells her he's planning to go to Australia to spend Christmas with his brother, Andrew. Addie encourages him, saying the change of scenery will be good for him. After returning home, Addie looks at old pictures of her and Mark and feels a little down. Just then, she gets another message from the same unknown number. "I'm looking forward to spending Christmas at my house with you." Addie asks who it is, and the sender replies, "Nana." Addie thinks it's a mistake. Nana asks if she's the big person, and Addie laughs, explaining that she's Eddie, not big. Nana then compliments Eddie's scarf and says her daughter loves that style. Addie promises to send her the online store link where she bought it, but after looking at Mark's photos again, she decides not to send it. The next day, while at work, Addie sees a picture of Mark online announcing his engagement. She mutters to herself how someone who is afraid of commitment could get engaged so quickly. Just then, Nana calls her on a video call. Nana explains that her real name is Mabel, but everyone calls her Nana. She reminds Addie that she hasn't sent the scarf link yet. They chat more, and Nana asks Addie about her life and who she's spending Christmas with. Addie tells her that her dad is in Australia and she'll be alone. Nana says she doesn't want to bother her and promises to call again later. After the call, Nana's son James comes home from his travels for Christmas. Nana's eyes fill with tears of joy as she hopes her son will stay with the family and someday settle down with a good woman. James says he'll think about it when he meets someone special. The next day, Addie is at home making cookies when Nana calls again. She says she's sad Addie will be alone for Christmas and suggests spending the holiday with her family. Addie is surprised at first, but Nana sends her a picture from last year's family gathering and explains that it's only a 3-hour train ride. After thinking it over, Addie decides to accept the invitation. Addie arrives in the town of Hartfield and checks into a small hotel. The hotel owner, Carter, is a kind, warm old man. He tells Nana that she's been alone since her husband passed, and her children are either always traveling or busy with their own lives. Carter asks Addie to say hi to Nana for him. Addie goes to Nana's house and is warmly welcomed. As she walks in, James comes down the stairs and Addie gets a little flustered. She hadn't seen him in the photos Nana sent. After the greeting, Nana's daughter, Molly, arrives with her husband and daughter, Paige. Nana introduces Addie to the family, and they all greet her with warmth. It's clear from the first moment that Addie is attracted to James, and he also seems to take notice of her. But then suddenly, James's ex-girlfriend, Violet, walks in, and the atmosphere becomes a little tense. At the family dinner, Addie thanks everyone for their hospitality. Nana explains how she mistakenly thought Addie was her daughter when she called her. Then they all exchange gifts, a family tradition. Nana gives Addie a small ornament from their Christmas tree so she'll remember them, and Addie gives her a gift in return. After dinner, Addie and James are in the kitchen cleaning up together, and a more personal conversation begins to form between them. Soon after, Addie decides to head back to the hotel. Nana kindly sees her off, telling her that she's now part of the family. A year passes, Christmas comes again. This time, Addie makes her cookies perfectly. Nana calls her to check in, asking about her trip to Australia. At that moment, James is also there, and it turns out he might be late and won't be able to spend Christmas with his mom. After the call ends, Nana sighs and tells James that Addie is such a wonderful girl and that they'd be a great match. James reminds her that Nana had mentioned Addie was dating a guy named Luke. Nana insists that it's not serious. Addie, whose dad is traveling again, talks to Tracy in New York. She's upset because Luke won't be able to join her for Christmas because of work. Tracy suggests that Addie spend the holiday again with Nana's family. Addie reluctantly says that there's nothing between her and James, but in the end, she decides to go back. She checks back into the hotel, and Carter greets her with excitement. He tells Nana that he invited her to Christmas dinner because her son is in the army and won't be around. Eddie heads to Nana's house, where James has just returned from his trip. Eddie asks about Violet, and James explains that he and Violet have been separated for some time. Soon after, the rest of the family arrives, and they're all happy to see Eddie. This time, Carter also joins them for dinner, and the atmosphere is warm and cozy. After dinner, James and Eddie go to the kitchen to help clean up, and as James lifts his hand, he suddenly feels a sharp pain in his shoulder. Eddie tells James to come over and she'll fix his shoulder, placing her hand on his shoulder. Suddenly, everyone bursts into the kitchen, probably just to catch them together, even though there's really nothing going on. They all exchange yes, and then sit down to swap gifts. Everything goes smoothly. After a while, Nana suggests they watch a Christmas movie, but James says he's not in the mood for a movie and would rather go for a walk. He invites Eddie to join him, and she happily agrees. Carter also suggests it's a good idea and might come along, but Nana laughs and tells him it's not his thing, only the kids are going out. They head out together and start talking, getting to know each other better. James tells Eddie that he'll be traveling to Brazil soon and might be there for a year or more, not sure when he'll see her again. Eddie reassures him that they'll keep in touch via video calls during his trip and won't forget each other. After their conversation, they head back home, and Eddie tells him that whenever he's in New York, he can come visit her. James happily agrees, and they say their goodbyes. Christmas rolls around again the next year. On the other hand, Eddie is sitting with Tracy complaining that Luke is too busy to take time off for Christmas. Tracy suggests that Eddie spend Christmas with Nana and James instead. Later, Eddie sits down with her dad, just like every year, but this time her dad tells her he wants to move to Australia for good. Eddie is thrilled and says he totally deserves a fresh start after retirement. When Eddie gets home, Nana calls and says this year, James is hosting Christmas for the family, and Eddie is invited. The next day, Eddie packs for the trip and, as always, heads to Carter's hotel first. But this time, there's no room reserved for her because the booking system had crashed and all the old information got wiped. There's no space, so she ends up going to Nana's house to stay. A few hours later, Eddie and James meet. Eddie sees James's new house, a place he bought and had rented out for a while, but now he's ready to host the Christmas party there. James shows her the list of everything they'll need for Christmas dinner, and they start cooking together. But eventually, there's an awkward silence. Both of them are shy and uncomfortable. No one says anything, so Eddie ends up heading back to Nana's house. On Christmas morning, Tracy calls Eddie and tells her she has to confess her feelings to James. Eddie finally agrees. But when she arrives at James's house, suddenly there's the smell of something burning. Eddie and Paige rush to the kitchen and find that the Christmas turkey is burnt. Paige wants to order pizza, but James refuses. So they all head to the supermarket, buy the ingredients, and Eddie makes a meal that saves the day. In the middle of cooking, Eddie wants to confess her feelings, but then the whole family shows up and the opportunity slips away. At dinner, Molly's husband asks about James's job. James explains that he turned it down because of his mom. Just then, Carter gets down on his knee and tells Nana, "If I searched the world, I wouldn't find another woman like you. I don't know how much time I have left, but I want to spend the rest of it making you happy." Nana starts tearing up and everyone applauds, happy for the couple. Afterwards, Eddie gets a message saying she's been accepted for a job she applied for. James encourages her to take the job. Eddie tells James, "You should go ahead and take that offer in Jamaica now that Carter is taking care of your mom." But neither of them has the courage to say how they really feel. As the night winds down, Eddie makes plans for coffee with James. The next morning, she goes to his place, they have coffee and chat about normal stuff, but Eddie feels disappointed and finally says, "I have to go." Eddie runs into Nana outside. Nana tells her that she'll always stay in touch. Meanwhile, James feels regretful because he hasn't told Eddie anything. Suddenly, Eddie shows up and says, "From the moment I saw you, I liked you." James smiles and responds, "That's exactly what I wanted to say." James decides not to go on the trip anymore and stays with Eddie. Eddie turns down the job offer and doesn't go to Australia. In the end, they both confess their feelings for each other and the film ends.